we're going to be talking about how using NFT to manage, the impact on offsetting carbon emission and global sustainability. And for this, I'd like to have Arkadiy, I'm not going to boosterize his last name, and Rene Hennen join us. Rene is actually, we got to hear from, I'll get in the middle. We got to hear about Rene's work from his co-founder earlier, and now we're going to get a little deeper into it. So, unbeknownst to these guys, what I've been doing for the last 9-10 months is looking at the carbon market. I first started the journey in looking at how could we get regenerative in the wine industry, getting farmers to be compensated. And we're doing a small, my co-project lead actually just left. We're doing a project in Catalonia around that. And it's kind of funny on how we're doing it, so don't want to talk too much because it's not my time, but we're not even giving, we're giving an NFT like a gold star. So that's how, we're saying, okay, so what do you know about this? Learn to earn a gold star, which is an NFT, so then they can understand what blockchain technology is about. The other thing is, how do we get to smart commodities? And one of the things that led me to the smart commodity rabbit hole was working with the University of Texas and also the Linux Foundation on how could we actually evidence what was happening at the farm level and capture, and then I realized, oh, I'm creating insets to the offset market, and how can we bring this to farmers? And I'm sure you guys are aware also, last month, the EU put this new rule in that says everything that comes in to the EU must show that it doesn't have child labor and, more importantly, deforestation, or it will not be allowed in the EU. So which means the Greater South has to be able to evidence that they're doing these things. And I'm looking forward to hear about what you guys have to say. So I'll come back to you, and you're going to tell me how to say your last name properly.
Good try. Hello? Oh yeah, it's back. So my name is Arkadiy Baltser. I'm a founder at PlutoView. We help communities boost their community engagement through shareable experiences. We're actually taking one of the most kind of forwardable steps in bridging the digital divide because we believe that all the communities across the world, a pitching second, 10 seconds and I'm done. All the communities across the world, right? Unfortunately, many of which don't have access to hardware powerful enough to use certain applications, use certain software, which means that they're less successful by definition. We're trying to change that because it's a conspiracy theory. Your software should migrate from your hardware to the cloud and blockchain. There should be nothing stopping you from using as powerful software as you need without being dependent on your hardware. That's what we do at PlutoView.
Thank you so much. And Rene, I think some of these people are new, so I think we do need to give them a bit about what Fund the Planet is doing.
Yeah, some of the people I know. She's the German NFT community. What we are doing at Fund the Planet is we save rainforest. The reason we do it is that the world is in a pretty dire state in terms of climate change, biodiversity loss, freshwater crisis, and so on. And the rainforests are actually our biggest, strongest single ally. We have to overcome the issues we are definitely going to face in the next centuries and decades, actually. So we learned that in the previous talk that if we lose the oceans, we cannot make it as humanity. The same counts for the rainforests, actually.
Thank you. So, Arkadiy, I have actually been talking a lot these days about, we keep talking about how crypto is going to help in financial inclusion. I actually think that we have a bigger problem if we don't get to digital inclusion. So it's not about the pitch. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing and how you're engaging those communities.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest problems today is the digital divide. And many of us in urban centers don't even notice this or recognize it as a real problem because we are, in fact, based in urban centers. Most of the people that's spread horizontally, not vertically, that live outside of urban centers don't have good access to internet connection, thanks to Elon Musk and Starlink. We are doing something about it, right? But the other big problem is the tools they use, right? There's places across the globe that you can't afford, or you don't have access to buy a powerful enough MacBook and use the applications that make you as successful as I don't know, a student in Germany and a student in Africa, not having that access to that technology, limiting him, right? By definition, making him less successful. What we do is we take that software and we migrate it to the cloud and blockchain, and not only now that student can use that powerful application from whatever hardware device he wants, he could actually use it collaboratively. So it's no longer single user applications, it's multiplayer, multi-user applications. So now that student in Africa can actually dial up through Zoom or whatever, or PlutoView in fact, his friends in Germany and prepare for a school project together using the applications, not dependent, not residing on their hardware, but residing on the cloud and blockchain. That's what we do, and I think it's one of the most important steps we need to take to bridge the digital divide. It's seamless connectivity, which is what Elon Musk is doing, and it's migrating software from hardware, which is what we're doing at PlutoView.
Amazing. So Rene, again, I know you've got a lot of your fans here, so woohoo for the German blockchain community. But I think that it'd be interesting to sort of talk about the mechanics of what you're actually using the NFT and how you're working with those communities in their carbon offsetting and really doing the impact. So it'd be great to hear a bit about that.
So what we are doing is, on a broader scale, not so much different to what charities do since many, many years, and the carbon offsetting market and the product is also doing. We start with virgin Amazon rainforest, and in the end we have that piece of land conserved and being there for next generations, for many more generations, and have the rainforest keep sequestering CO2 and even most importantly not releasing the CO2 because it got teared down for agriculture or mining. So we start at the same point, and we hopefully and pretty sure we'll end it with the same goal. What we do in between differently is we actually acquire the rainforest. Most charities, they make deals with the local governments to get concessions, to get like a deal to not cut it down for 20 years. Countries mostly agree to that because they have no plans to use it next 20 years and they get some money for that on top of that. So we buy the land, we get full control over it, and the next step, we divide it in smaller pieces. So smaller pieces is relative, it's still thousands of square meters. And each of those pieces is represented by an NFT, by a rainforest token. And which means whoever owns that rainforest token owns the certificate which stands for all the positive impact. Positive impact in terms of climate change, CO2 sequestering, CO2 storage, fresh water production, biodiversity, and so on. And that's actually a key point, because the most valuable intangible asset in a world which is in a crisis mode because of climate change is stuff which prevents this crisis. Impact is the most valuable intangible asset. But how do we deal with that today? There's no bookkeeping about that. There's double accounting. No one takes that serious. Money, very serious. Spend it for impact. No one cares anymore.
They are caring. I think that Walmart just got fined. Microsoft or somebody, which we don't say, lost 400 million because they got offsets which had no value. The banks are getting dinged for greenwashing, Deutsche and others. So I think they are starting to care. And I think it's important to be able to create that data and validity of that data and provide it. So I think that corporates are part of your client base also.
Yeah, we think so and hope so too, because we all know that impact is important, and blockchain is the perfect technology for all sorts of intangible assets. I couldn't think of any intangible asset which is not based on the blockchain. Impact, we should start with that because this isn't there yet, and it has a huge improvement chance for entire humanity. And we do this with rainforest tokens.
Amazing. So, Arkadiy, would love to hear more about how you're engaging communities so far.
I actually have a few things to add to
Okay, go ahead.
carbon offsetting. So not many people know, but the biggest problem in carbon offsetting prior to Web3, prior to blockchain, was fraud. Close to, I don't know the statistics exactly, but it's roughly 60% of actual carbon credits were being fraudulized because you buy carbon credits in bulk, and then you have companies buying them in bulk and reselling them. And then obviously, what you basically do is like you buy 20 different cars, right? And then you start reselling them based on a photo of the original package of the 20 cars together. It makes no sense, right? It's completely fraudulized. Now, with Web3, with blockchain, it's all quantifiable. It's in a matter of milliseconds, you can access any numbers, do the calculation you need to do, and you know exactly the amount you need to offset. The questions that previously haven't been answered are answered now through quantifiable and blockchain.
I'd love to agree with that one, but I think you're onto something because I don't know if you guys saw the news the other day that the World Bank and Singapore are getting together to do a registry. And there was a 20 million, I think, QEii network is going to be building with IFC another registry. I think that the challenge I would pose, though, is garbage in, garbage out. So we need to be capturing it at the inception and making sure that also we are matching standards. How are we measuring? How are we making sure that where we said it started is actually where there is? As you say, it's correct to say that the blockchain provides that, but we need to make sure that we use a certain amount of rigor, which unfortunately we're still flying high. But I think that this is the promise, and this is not the promised land, this is a promise, and it is up to us to really be able to put those things. And I commend you on the work that you're doing in terms of getting that roadmap on the way. And it'll be great to know, I'm not sure if you guys know, but the UN is all over blockchain. They have a project with EFAD, which is basically delivering money to farmers, and that's using the Ethereum blockchain, and also Polygon. So think of the impact of delivering money now, because you're no longer transporting, getting that money, you actually are getting into country. World Food Program is delivering food using blockchain, and also UNICEF has been there. And then yesterday, I got to speak to Save the Children. They're like the OG. They've been taking Bitcoin since 2013. So these are organizations that you should be speaking to in helping amplify your message. So wanted to hear more about where your implementation are happening.
With offsetting digital divide. Yeah, so as I said, the idea is pretty simple. Let's turn single-user software into multi-user software. Let's make sure it migrates from your hardware to the cloud. And now anybody can have access to as complex applications as they desire. We did start this whole thing piloting with schools. I was a graduate at BU at the time, so we did do extensive pilots at MIT and BU. Unfortunately, sales cycles at major institutions are ridiculous, so we had to move to digital academies, and obviously that was a big launch point for us, so coding schools and so on and so on. Now we are positioning ourselves, obviously, as a company that kind of brings all this multiplayer experiences to brands and communities, but really, in fact, and my co-founders and everybody else are gonna really not like that I say this because it brings too much techie stuff into the thing, but the big idea is we are delivering an functionality infrastructural layer for the metaverse. Without Pluralview at the moment, the only thing you can do in any metaverse that exists is play a game. That's it, right? It's you're Adidas and you spend millions of dollars buying virtual land. What you get utility-wise is a game that was written by 20, 30 engineers. It took them 50 hours to write the game, completely not scalable, right? You bought this land for community engagement purposes. And you get nothing. You get no utility. You get a game that after you finish the game, there's no more community engagement. We changed that because with PlutoView virtual devices integrated into Sandbox, which is something we're working on right now, you could walk into the Adidas space in the metaverse, come up to a virtual computer and order a pair of shoes that are gonna arrive at your doorstep tomorrow. That's the big idea here. And you can not only order a pair of shoes, you could order a pair of shoes with 20 of your friends. There's another problem, which is cross-platformatization, which is if you're a fan of Adidas, you're stuck with Sandbox. If you're a fan of Nike, you're stuck with Decentraland. If you're a fan of both, you're screwed. Yeah, you can't be in two places at the same time. Well, with PlutoView, you sort of can, because now you can have 50 people in Sandbox watch a movie in real time with 50 other people in Decentraland. And that's community engagement, and that's kind of bridging the borders. Metaverse is not about replacing our day-to-day, it's about giving us superpowers. It's about helping us step over those borders that were created by people that came before us.
You realize that you have another SDG you hit, education. So wanted to hear more from you, Rene.
Yeah, actually, I want to continue talking about the platform idea of blockchain. Blockchain enables peer-to-peer transfer of assets, intangible assets, for instance, such as impact. And it's a wonderful part that we can build platforms where people in Africa, South America, wherever, who live close to places you can do a lot of impact. They can do the impact. They can transform it, bring it on a blockchain as intangible asset, and you can have someone in Europe buying it. That's an export business for people who don't even speak English.
So you need to go talk to Blue Green Ocean because this is kind of what Raf Kiami has done with the IMF. So Raf talked about the fact that you could take an elephant and create a digital asset now which was owned by a country, and the offset that are created from the elephant or the whales can then be used as a mechanism for that country to actually access wealth. So it is bringing impact at the local level, and then kind of making the North pay for what they're doing to the South, because if we look at the emission issue, it is actually a North problem being paid off by the South because they're the one who are having issues with drought, with climate, and as a result are not able to feed themselves. So this is a mechanism for flipping, and I'm actually going to be heading down to Egypt next week. And I think that we're going to see a big shift because everybody's going to, it's now in Africa, so they're going to say, you promised us something, you have delivered zero. So now you're going to have to start putting in the money or we're going to make you pay.
Mentioned Fund the Planet there.
No, I don't take crypto, that's okay. No, but we...
What?
No, I don't. My blockchain, it doesn't have crypto in there. I work with farmers. I think risk is something that's real. I tokenize things. I believe. So it's not, I say I'm a crypto minimalist. You owe me money, I'll take your crypto. I'll tell you which one I'll take. But it is important to understand those things. And in reality, I'm for people to use, and I believe that we've seen so much through that. But the volatility is not something, or even saying I have my own stable coin would not be something that I can bring to someone who's already affected by weather, by market, and now why do they need to have something from me? What I provide them is a mechanism to track their goods and track the payment back to them. And that payment is going to central banks. So I'm for decentralization, but with understanding that decentralization also requires a certain level of centralization because we as individuals are central. So as we work in this world, we want certain parts of us. We're going to the doctor, we're going to work. We want to keep them separate, and we should be able to. So in ways, though, I'm also, unfortunately, an old banker. So I do believe in regulation, not to, I want regulation to foster innovation, not to stymie it, but we also should be looking to design with the human aspect to it. What am I going to cause to you, and what disadvantage might I cause you? If you want to be paid in crypto, I'll pay you in crypto. If you don't want to, that's a choice.
Yeah, the ideal world, I think, can address all the needs of all individuals, but I hope we can see that we try to build more and more system and transform system into decentralized ones, because it brings us back to a state we can reshape and really listen to the people involved.
I'll definitely be speaking about this to people, because I think it's important for them to be aware and to really support the work that you guys are doing. It's key to being able to have that brighter future that we're all dreaming of. We've got more time. We have time, so would be happy to take some question. If not, I'll find some more questions for them. So anybody has any questions? Sure.
No, I'm not sure if it's a question, but you made a comment, and I agree with you. I'm on the other side. I work for charity sector, both within. Oh,
Thank you.
yeah. So my name.
I think it's kind of.
Can you hear me? Okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Daniela. It's not actually a question, but I just wanted to agree with a comment that you made. I was saying, I'm on the other side. I work for charities, the ones that you mentioned, Greenpeace and PETA and etc. And one that is called Global Forest Coalition, which is about forests. And I think I agree. I think the ideas what you're bringing is just brilliant, but it's still very distant from the work that we do. And somehow I wonder, like, how can we create this proximity? How can we bring the amazing work and innovation that you are creating, but to the grassroots work on the floor with the indigenous communities, with the rainforest, with what we're doing in the field? So I still see this very, very much of a distance. Of course, there's a fear from the side of the charities and UN and whoever is here of, oh, I'm not going to go into this world. Whenever you say, let's start fundraising in crypto, everybody runs away and say, no, 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 this is unethical and blah, blah, blah. There's the whole problem of this. But somehow I think, yeah, from you guys, you are the creators of those amazing initiatives. Once again, maybe the initiatives should come from you to approach us and to bring these opportunities of collaborating.
So actually, you guys should be calling them. I got the rainforest asking me if I would participate in a roundtable. I'd like to, I'm not sure I have the time, but I'd like to have them come to the table and to be able to say, what are they doing? What are the idea? And really having those working groups. Because what I should have said is I build technology, but I build bridges with working with people who are working on the ground already. And that's necessary because it's a cultural thing. So this is why I said the human-centric design. But give him a call.
Yeah, I'd like to answer the question because it actually is a really, really good one. I mentioned there are three big paths, or two big paths, which is charity, then carbon credits, and then hopefully will be a big path what we are doing with NFTs. And the big difference is that with charities, money flows from donors to receivers. And they get nothing in return, because if you get something in return for a donation, by law, it's not a donation anymore. What we are doing and what we are hoping to achieve in some time from now is to have a platform. This is not about donating money anymore, but it's enabling people in those countries to sell their impact. So I don't give money for something to happen, I buy a product. This is a fundamental mind change of what we are doing. I see charities can play an important role to build and to facilitate those platforms. Also, it's what we see right now. Why didn't we build a platform right away? Because we had to get ownership of the land. The local communities don't own the land. So, and this is too much money for local communities to bring it up by themselves. So this was one of the things we had to do first. So charities can play an amazing role to facilitate the shift to a platform and empower the people there. But it's not donation anymore. It's a business, like
Did you
everything
want
else.
to cover?
Yeah, I just wanted to add like a small thingy, but I think it's important. Don't forget that it's the same mechanics. Don't make it sound too complex. What was the backbone of charity fundraising? Auctions. Selling art, buying art, auctions, charity auctions has always been the backbone of charity. Now you can do the same thing with NFTs, but there's fundamental differences, like secondary sales. So with original classical auctions, you sell a painting, right? The proceeds go to a charity, that's it, game over, we're done. We're out of here, right? Shouldn't be that way. With NFTs, now you could have secondary sales forever going to the cause, right? So you sell a painting, you sell an NFT, and every secondary sale, the charity, the cause is going to be getting something out of it. So it's similar mechanics. Don't make it too difficult. It's helping it.
I think that the point wasn't about the sale of the NFT. It's about how to engage the communities is what she's talking about. And I love to be at the point where an NFT sale or donation to charity. So one of the things I was talking yesterday with Save the Children, she said, the crypto community is the most giving and the most philanthropic community to be coming. However, Save the Children since 2013 has raised a total of $8 million in crypto. They raise on an annual basis $3 billion. Exactly, exactly. So I think that it's important to have the conversation, to understand how to, and also to satisfy. It's not only going to be about your fears, it's satisfying the needs of your donors. So donor communities can be a thorn in their side, and also from a regulatory to be able to have that transparency. So I think there's a lot to be learned, to be taught from what you guys or we are doing, but it is a conversation that we need to have, and we need to sort of say, well, I don't understand this, how do I move from there? But thank you so much for your question. Anyone else with any other question? Sure.
Hi, hello. This is rather going to Rene. How do you, I mean, like you're buying like huge amounts of land. How do you ensure that these lands are safe and that they're not getting like wildered by people, are getting burned down? Because from what I know, this is a huge problem actually in Brazil. Yeah.
Yep, and that's absolutely true. We are in Peru, but this doesn't make it much better in terms of risks. We collaborate with the local community. We have more than 50 people engaged there on a part-time basis who help to patrol the land, to conserve the land. Some people did already before. By being the owner of the land, by being the biggest taxpayer in the entire region, we have the support from government. If an NGO comes, usually the governments, the municipalities, they don't participate in that much. And what's the best way to increase the life quality of a community is to give the money to the municipality. So we paid the property tax by buying the land, and this already was a tremendous blessing for the entire community. And this is going on every year. Since we increased the value of the land, we pay more and more money, and that's how they can operate with the money. And they're really thankful for that, because on their level, it's not about building a fountain or a nice park. It's about the next polio vaccination in those regions. So they're happy with us, and we get a support with the landowner, and then we have the engagement with the municipality. And thanks to Satellite Imaginary, not just us, but everyone who owns a rainforest token can make sure on a daily basis how well their piece of land is doing.
So, give me time.
Sorry, did I answer your question?
Go ahead. I hope that answered your question. Sure. I remember, though, we have Patagonia. I don't remember the name of that founder of the Patagonia company, which bought that strip of land in Latin America, which has been also doing this work in the rainforest. I think what there is here is there is shared ownership where there's also shared impact from all of us. This was one man who did it, and now it's really giving us the ability to be able to do it ourselves. So now that we got some more time, I wanted to ask if there's any other questions in the audience. So I'd like to ask both Arkadiy, where do you see in 5 years what you're doing? I know you talked about a bit around the platform, but I would love, like say, take us into this journey in the next 5 years.
As I've mentioned, like the big vision here is building bridges between metaverses, and I hate using the word metaverses because it's just such a hyped up thing, and people really don't understand what exactly it is. Forget metaverses, social hubs, connectivity hubs, community hubs, building bridges between them through interactive experiences and functional experiences. We live in a physical world, right? Before, in 16th century, we had the old world, and suddenly there was a new world. And people were very, suspicious of the new world. The analogy sort of stands, right? The virtual world is this new venture, right? There's physical limitations that, look, we are in this space right now. If I wanted to turn this into an office, I could probably fit in 20, 50 computers in here, that's it, right? In the virtual space, I could scale the number of my virtual computers from 20 to 20,000 in a matter of seconds. There's no physical limitations stopping me. Yes, the brave vision of the future that has to do with Turakhia and what I'm building is interconnected communities. It's virtual applications. We've been virtualizing ourselves for the last 10 years with Zooms, Google Meets, all this technology, virtual offices, metaverses. But we've been forgetting about something very important. This thing right here is an extension of my being. Before I virtualize myself, I need to virtualize this. I need to make sure I could take this from one metaverse to another metaverse, from one social community to another social community without any hesitation. That's what we're doing at Turakhia.
Thank you. And I have the same question for you, Rene.
So I have to say we have a 10-year and a 15-year plan. So in 5 years, I think the biggest accomplishment we could achieve is to have physical products like that shirt, which is connected to the impact. That means we change another thing. This is how companies try to become more green by letting customers pay for their PR measures, buying carbon credits. But what I believe is that actually customer wants to own the impact. So you could have anything which is connected to the impact directly, and a person doesn't pay extra money to make the company look good, but they do it to offset their own life. And I think that's what we all have to achieve. Make people, everyone at basis level, contribute, fight against the climate change, and be able to feel great about that, because it's one of the most important things in the century.
Yes, we have less than 1 minute, so go ahead.
Less than 1 minute, okay. I just wanted to add one thing, and you said it before. I think a very important point is education. So for like all of these initiatives and also for like bridging the gap to charities. So for example, talk to project, which is exactly helping small charities to accept crypto, because it's not that easy with all that stuff. But the question would be in this regard, and maybe to both of you, what is something that every single one of us could do that would help your project or would help the initiatives to...
They're going to have to tell you behind. We lost the opportunity.
Join the community.
Buy rainforest tokens and talk about it.
Wonderful.
One point, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.